Hi VC, hi YouTube, it's Rob here with another video, and I want to do this tag that's been set up by Chris at Stylus Meets Vinyl. So Chris has got a really good channel. I do watch his videos pretty regularly. I think he's closing in on 500 subscribers, but he's come up with this tag about if you're a producer, and he's got 8 questions. I just thought it was a fun idea. Just thought I'd do a response. So 8 questions. I've got the questions written down here. And the first question is a song that doesn't open an album but you think should do. So yeah, I mean this thread, there's multiple answers you can use for all the questions really, but one that sort of sprung to mind for me was this album, Cool for Cats by Squeeze. And I think this album should start off with the track Cool for Cats. Strangely, it's actually the last track on side 2, which I just think is really weird. For me, when Cool for Cats came out, it just stood out as a great single, and it's just an obvious choice to start the album. So that's what I'd choose. Track to start an album is Cool for Cats by Squeeze from '78, I think. Second question, a song that wasn't a single but should have been. I want to show this album, Zenyatta Mandata by The Police, third album by The Police. Is it my favourite album by The Police? It's really tough. I like all the Police albums really. But the song When the World is Running Down, You Make the Best of What's Still Around, for me, should have been a single. There was only 2 singles taken from this album. Don't Stand So Close to Me and Di-Do-Do-Do-Di-Da-Da-Da, which is unusual for the Police. They usually release at least 3 singles from albums. So I'm not too sure why they didn't release When the World is Running Down, You Make the Best of What's Still Around, but it's one of my favourite Police tracks. Certainly think it should have been a single. Third question is artwork that you'd send back to the designer for a redo. So I mean, there's multiple albums that you think, they have you scratching your head and thinking, what were you thinking of? But I've decided to go with this album, Bill Withers and About Love from 1978. And I don't think I need to really explain why I think that this album artwork should be redone. That is some 1970s pullover, and I do not think it's the best look for Bill Withers. So I certainly think that someone was having a bit of fun when they came up with that as an album design. So I'd certainly send that one back. Maybe have something, I don't know, but certainly not that one. The fourth question is a song that you would extend. So I've gone with a track off this album, Neil Young from Zuma, and I've gone for Pardon My Heart, which is a beautiful love song, and I think it's coming up to 4 minutes long, but I just, every time I listen to it, I always want it to go on. And it's unusual for Neil Young because his songs do tend to go on a little bit. I'm sure live maybe he'd add a few more minutes onto it, but it's just a song that I really love, and I would love to have a little bit more of it. So yeah, track 3 from Zuma, Pardon My Heart by the great Neil Young. The fifth question is the opposite, a song that you cut short. I really did struggle with this one. But public opinion would make me show this album. So The Cost of Loving by the Style Council, a bit of a masterpiece, but under pressure I've decided that maybe the opening track, It Didn't Matter, does actually go on for maybe a minute too long. So It Didn't Matter by the Style Council is a track that I would maybe cut a little bit shorter. The sixth question is a double album that you'd make into a single album. Again, I really did struggle with this, and I had to sort of use something that is a bit of a cliche, so it'd be the White Album. So this is an album that I got as VCLT from Matt Hayes, maybe coming up to 2 years ago now. And I'd never actually heard this album until a couple of years ago. Because when I was growing up, none of my friends liked the Beatles. So I didn't have access to the album. And I think Matt heard me say something on a video, and he kindly sent this to me. And I do like the album, but I do think that it would be a better album if it was just a single album. The Beatles had this kind of, obviously it was hugely successful, but I class them as sort of silly songs. And there's a lot of silly songs on this album. I'd like it to just be the 12 best songs on the album. So I think a lot of it is pretty unnecessary. So yeah, a double album that I make into a single album is the White Album by the Beatles. The seventh question is a record that you'd retitle. So I've gone for Shakespeare, Alabama by Diesel Part West. So at the end of the 80s, Diesel Part West were a band I was really into. I think they're from Leicestershire. Guitar indie band who I had high hopes for. But I never thought Shakespeare, Alabama and that jacket was something that was appealing. Sort of, 20-somethings into sort of indie music. And Diesel Part West sort of sunk without a trace. This is a great album, but I'd certainly retitle the album. Instead of Shakespeare, Alabama, maybe Out of Nowhere would be a better title for it. It's one of the good tracks off the album. And the final question on Chrissy's tag is a song that doesn't end an album that should. And I've chosen Stiff Little Fingers, band from Northern Ireland, who I went to see in 1980. Great. And I just feel that the track Johnny Was, which is a real epic, it's actually 8 minutes long, but it's stuck in the middle of side 2. I do think it's a track that should be the closer to this great album, Inflammable Material by Stiff Little Fingers. So 8 answers to 8 great questions set by Chris. If you want to go over to his original video, his channel's Stylus Meets Vinyl. So if you've got any comments about my choices, I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.